Hey there, it's Sam. We're gonna build something awesome using Bootstrap. By the end of this lesson, I promise that we're gonna build a modern and responsive website like this. Alright, we're gonna start from scratch. Let's create our index.html. If you're using VS Code, you can click on this icon here to create a new file in your current folder. Let's generate the boilerplate using the exclamation mark, and I'm just hitting tab here until I reach the title. Give it a name, and let's also create an asset folder, which will contain our CSS files and also images. Once again, you can click on the folder icon to create a folder. Then we want to link our CSS files inside our main index.html. Type link and hit tab for emmet expansion and reference our styles.css correctly. So / means current folder, in the asset folder, CSS folder, then styles.css. We also want to link Bootstrap by calling the Bootstrap CDN. You can copy this from the Bootstrap official website, and we want to make sure it is placed before our custom styles to stop Bootstraps from overwriting our custom CSS. Now, before we start coding, let's put down our HTML structure first. We first need a navbar and a main banner-like element, which we usually call the hero element, then a section for testimony, and another one for the cards, and finally, the footer. Okay, let's begin with the navbar. We will open up a live server session, then go to the Bootstrap cheat sheet website and copy the navbar brand component. Now the default navbar has got a gray background, which is not what we want, but that's okay, we can come back to it later. Let's move on and create a hero component. We'll create a new section and give it two custom classes. One's called the hero main class and the other one's background gradient class. Now let's go to style.css and code our styles out. We need our hero component to occupy 70% of the viewport. To do that, we can target the hero main class and set the height to be 70 VH. VH stands for viewport height. So 70 VH means 70% of the viewport. Okay? Next, we'll add the gradient background. To do that, we use a CSS function called the linear gradient function. Here's how it works. The first parameter is the direction of the gradient. 0 degree means from the bottom to the top. 90 degree means from the left to the right. 180 degree means from top to bottom, and so on. After defining the direction, we will specify the color to be used inside the gradient. For the starting color, I want this blue with this RGB value, and I can specify the width of this color in percentage right after the RGB. In this case, it will be 20%. Once I'm done with my first color, I'll put a comma and start putting in the next color. I want a darker blue this time, and it will be 60% for the width. To finish off the gradient, I'll need this purple, and if I don't put in any width, CSS will make it take up the rest of this gradient. And there we go. We have created a gradient background. Now let's go back one step to fix our navbar. We don't want our navbar to have any background, and it should stay on top of our gradient background. Let's go back to our HTML and remove the background light class. And a quick way to put our navbar on top of the hero, we can remove the navbar from the document flow by making its position absolute. The black text is very hard to read on the dark blue background. Let's change it to white color. We can change in Bootstrap navbar color theme to dark by changing navbar light to navbar dark. I'm also not too happy with the font size at the moment. Let's target the navbar brand and increase the font size to 2 rem. Much better. Next, let's build our main hero section. We need a container and one row with 2 columns. The first column will contain the image, and the second column will contain the call to actions. I want the container and rows to have 100% height. I can do that by using my Bootstrap helper class h-100. The reason for 100% height is because we want our content in our hero to fully occupy the given space. Let's find an image for our hero section. Undraw.co and drawkit.io are 2 websites where you can find free and beautiful vector illustration. I've downloaded this graphic, so I'm gonna just reference it in my image tag. Right now the image is too big. Let's give it a class name and style it. We'll give it a width of 500 pixels by default. We want to scale it down on smaller screen sizes. We can use Media Query to do that. We want to scale our image down to 450 pixels when the max width is at 1200 pixels, and scale it down to 250 pixels when the max width is at 992 pixels. Let's test it in the browser. Working great. Next, we want to vertically center our image. There are a few ways to do this, but the easiest way is to set the margin top and bottom to auto on the column containing the image. The Bootstrap helper class myAuto will do this for us. Moving on, we'll build our call to action column. We need a card and make all the text inside it white, and for its children, we need a card title and card body. Inside the card title, we want to add a heading, and inside the body, we want a paragraph with the class card text, followed by a link button, which is our main call to action button. We also want to vertically center our card. Again, apply the myAuto helper class to the card column. And finally, we want to make the card background transparent. Let's create a new class called bgnone, and in the style CSS, we'll set the background property to transparent. Now there's one more issue. It seems like our card body has a padding by default, and it doesn't look that great in our case here. So let's remove it. We can use the PL0 Bootstrap helper class to assign padding left to 0. And it looks perfect now. Let's test the responsiveness next. It looks great on large screen sizes, but not so much on smaller screen sizes, especially at around 760 pixels. Let's remove our hero image column when the screen size is less than 767 pixels. First, we'll assign a new class to our hero image column and add a new media query. Max width to be 767 pixels and target hero image column display to none. Looks great. Alright, the next thing we want to do is to add a curve to the bottom of our hero component. Let's add a new section and give it a class name of hero bottom curve. And back in style.css, we will target it and give it a background same as our hero background and set the height to be 10 of the viewport height. To add a curve effect, we can make use of border radius. So we assign the border bottom left radius property to 60% and also the right radius to 60%. And there we go. Looks great. We will create the testimonial section next. We need a container and also add margin and padding on the y direction to 5. Inside the container, we want row and column. For the quote component, we can go to the Bootstrap cheat sheet and copy block quote footer under the typography section and replace a lorem text with our own custom text. Let's style the block quote to make it more interesting. We will add a solid border, give it a width of 10 pixels, and remove the top, bottom, and right border. Also give it a color purple and set padding left to 3 rem. Looks great. Moving on, we'll add a feature section now. We need a section with a class of container and add some paddings and margin on the top and define a heading. Give it a class of text center and display 4 to increase the font size and put a horizontal rule element right underneath it as a divider. And we need 3 cards here. Each card will sit in the columns by its own. So we need a row. In the row, we need a column. For extra small and small screen sizes, we want our cards to take up 12 grids. And for medium size and onwards, we want to show everything in one row. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we want to assign each columns to have 4 grids. Inside each of these columns, we need a card. In the card, we need an image tag and also a card body. And inside the card body, we need a paragraph with a class of card text. Seems to be loading. That's good. Let's fill out the rest of the columns. Our images are currently not in the right aspect ratio, which is not ideal. We can fix that by using the card image top class. Looks great. It looks a little bit boring at the moment. Let's add some styles to it. we will remove the default border and add some shadows to our card. You can hit Ctrl D or Command D to multi-select in VS Code. We will give our cards the shadow class and border 0 to remove the default border. And I also want to add a hover effect and darken the background when it's being clicked. Let's add a new class to our section here so we can easily target all the cards inside here. In the style CSS, we target a section feature class and put a space. Space means all the descendant. We want to target all the cards, which is a descendant of the section feature class. And colon hover means what to do when they're being hovered. We want to add more shadow. Apply the box shadow property. The first argument is the x-axis offset. We want 2 pixels from the left. The second argument is the y-axis offset. We want 10 pixels from the top. The third argument is the blurriness. And the fourth argument is the color. We also want to make it important, so we'll override any Bootstrap default CSS. Looks good. We also want to change our cursor when hovering on it. We'll set cursor to pointer. Darken the background color when it's being clicked. We want to target the card when it is active and set the background color. Looks awesome. And now let's test the responsiveness. Looks good, but we do need to separate the cards. We can do that by simply adding some margin bottom. Alright, moving on to the last part of our website, the footer. We'll create a footer element and add a heading with display 1 and add some margin and padding to the bottom. Next, we'll add a container to display all the footer links and descriptions. We will have a row and 2 columns. The first column is for the links and the second column is for the company visions. The links column would take up 12 grids on mobile and tablet and 8 grids on laptop and above. For the vision columns, 12 grids for mobile and tablet and 4 grids for laptop and above. For the links column, we want to subdivide them into 4 different sections. We can do that by creating a new row with 4 columns. We want each column to take up 12 grids on mobile and 3 grids on tablets and onwards. Each column will have a headings and also a list of links. Let's use the magic of copy and pasting for a few more times, and we'll have something that looks like this. For the vision columns, it will just be 2 paragraphs. First paragraph is the vision statement, and the second paragraph is the copyright statement. Alright, time to do the styling. First of all, we want to set the background color to dark, and all the text color to white. Add a margin top, 5 rem, and also padding, 3 rem. Next, we want to target the direct headings under footer, and set the color to our theme color. We also want to change all the link color to the theme color, and finally remove the dot and the padding on the list items. And that is it. Let's do a final check on the responsiveness. Looks great. That concludes for this lesson. Practice a lot and spend some time reading the documentation. And I'll see you again shortly. If you enjoyed the content of this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and the bell icon for more content to come. It will really help me out. Thanks for the support.